All right. I'm John Yob. I'm helping Perry Johnson with his campaign for governor. I appreciate everybody coming here today. We're doing something a little different here. We're calling it the Quality Kickoff, the Michigan Quality Kickoff, Quality Michigan Kickoff. And the purpose is to really try something different with with what's going on with COVID and Zoom and people going to events, but people participating more than ever online. We really want to do something that was sort of the integration between Zoom and what's going on online with town halls and social media and what you can do with in-person events, and to try something that really integrates those together in a way that really hasn't been done on campaigns before. So, and we want to do it here sort of in the belly of the beast for the media to see and sort of participate in, and to see what we're going to be doing across the state as Perry goes across the state and does these in Alpena and Oakland County and Grand Rapids, et cetera. So with that, you'll see that we're going to be taking questions from the crowd, from at home in the audience. They'll be submitting videos, and they'll be able to participate via texting, Twitter, commenting, etc. With that, I will introduce the next governor of the state of Michigan, the quality guru, Perry Johnson.
I'm going to start off by asking you one very simple question. What does quality mean to you? Now, I want you to think about that, because I'm going to tell you a little about myself. I'm a pretty ordinary guy. I grew up in a middle-class family, like many of you. My dad was a pilot in World War II. My mother was an RN in the Army WACs. They met at a New Year's Eve party, which was a big break for me, or I wouldn't be here today. The reality is that my parents loved this country. And from the time that I was very young, my dad told me that one of the greatest gifts you can be given in the world is to be born with two loving parents, healthy, and be born in America. Because America is the greatest country in the world. In America, you can be anything you want. It's up to you. And I believe that. And I've taken that with me my whole life. Because being an American is an opportunity that not everyone has. My dad told me, in America, you can be anything you want. It's up to you. You just have to have the drive, the will, the ambition, and it's there. And by golly, I believed it. Now, in fairness, my parents didn't have a lot of money, but I had a wonderful childhood. Things were a lot different back then, because the houses were right next to each other, and if we wanted to get a baseball game together, it took us about 5 minutes, and I could go and get all these kids together. Now everything is all organized. You have to have play dates. My 13-year-old son, it's a play date. I remember when I had my kids, they said, I never even heard of a play date when I was growing up. We would just manage to play by ourselves. We didn't have to have it organized, but it was fantastic. And I would play just about anything. Baseball, basketball, football. I swam. I loved swimming. I loved golf. I loved tennis. And my mother would get so mad at me because of the fact that I'd always want to be out and about playing. And she said, "Man, is that all you can do?" I said, "That's what I love to do." And in fact, I did. I was a Boy Scout, and in Boy Scouts, we would go camping. And I remember one of the most exciting times in my life was when I got that 21st Merit Badge and became an Eagle Scout. To me, God, that was great. And life was wonderful. I went to college. In fairness, my parents didn't have the money for tuition, but I worked in the summer. I worked in the steel mill. I got through it. It was great. When I went to grad school, it was a little tougher, because in grad school, I was getting eviction notices on a pretty regular basis. I think I had my gas shut off a couple of times, but I got through that. And I had my first major break when I got a job at Borg Warner. Now, they hired me as a sales engineer, but you have to understand I never had an engineering course in my life. I was a math major at the University of Illinois, and I had an opportunity to work with the engineers, purchasing, and manufacturing. And it was there that I learned a lot about the whole manufacturing process. Back then, in the early 80s, the automobile industry was struggling. The Japanese had come in with these fantastic cars, and their quality was through the roof. So they were killing us in quality. And we had gas prices that were really high. They were taking market share because they had better fuel economy. And you can imagine the combination of great quality and great fuel economy was a disaster for us. In fact, at that time, I think Lee Iacocca had to go to Congress to get enough money just to keep Chrysler alive. But being the salesman he was, he got the money. And of course, Chrysler took off. What was interesting was the approach they used to quality. Back then, they used to have inspection at the end of the line. And they would check the product and try to get all the product that was bad out. And the problem was we had all the labor that was put in at that time, and you were never going to get any better. I knew how to solve the problem. I knew that the key was to go to the beginning of the operation, right in front, and iron out the variability. And that's when I introduced statistical methods. They call me the quality guru. The reality is, I use statistical methods in order to make quality the way it should be. But I didn't do it. I gave them a tool. The people on the line were the ones that were telling us what to do. The people on the line used that tool to tell us how they can improve each step of the process. Within a matter of 4 or 5 years, we had the best quality in the world. That's because we had the greatest workers in the world telling us what to do, and they had the tool. Now, while this is going on, understand other things are happening. Ford Motor Company is starting to buy from Mexico. I noticed that GM also was taking a look at that. And then in my operation in England, I noticed that they were buying from Czechoslovakia and Hungary. It was no longer feasible to send people out to check quality. So I said, why not the international standard for quality? We have a standard for everything. You have a standard for this cloth, this board, the chair, everything you have, everything you make. Why not a standard for quality? And that ISO 9000 standard is a very simple concept, and it is used all over the world. Now, I wrote a book on ISO 9000. It took off like hotcakes. In fairness, they translated it into Spanish, Japanese, even Hungarian. And it ignited my company. Now, at this point, I've written 6 books on quality. We operate in 61 countries, and I admit, I live a golden life, a life of my dreams. My wife is crying. Usually she's yelling at me. The reality of the matter is that I have a wonderful wife. I have 3 lovely kids. And nothing in this world gives you the joy you get from your family. But in reality, it's very important to understand that we have to have fun in life. It's very important to understand what's important in life. And I have just about anything I could imagine, but I want to give something back. So I'm running for governor to give something back to the state. Now, I'm not going to take a salary. I will donate that money. I don't need the money. What I want is to have this become the great state it is. It has everything going for it. I take a look at what's happened, and I see we're moving in the wrong direction. Because a lot of times you have to make decisions based on policy. Now, we had a new administration. During Snyder years, we knew our economy grew at about 2%. The very next year, when we have a new governor, the overall growth dropped 60% down to 0.8%. Now, keep in mind, we didn't have COVID yet. But then we had something happen that was tragic. It only happens every 100 years. We had something happen that changed the world. We had COVID overtake the world. Now, when that happened, people started dying. And we were scared. So they shut down our economy. They shut everything down. 46 states shut everything down. I'm not going to go and condemn our governor because she shut our state down like everybody else. No, I condemn the action because she did not pay attention to science, the science of statistics. What we needed to do was to recognize the basic foundation on which this country was founded. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That was so important to our country that when Patrick Henry was being hanged, he said, "Give me liberty or give me death." That's how important liberty is. Is liberty important to you? And liberty is important to every American because it's what separates us from the rest of the world. And by golly, if we're going to take that liberty away, let's pay attention to giving it back as soon as we can. And that was our mistake. So, what happened? We ended up shutting down all of our businesses. Not for an average amount, but for longer than 70% of the country. Now think about it. In fairness, I was going nuts. My wife was threatening to divorce me. I'm sitting over there, I couldn't stand it. I knew then I could never retire. I don't have it in me. And the irony is I need things to do because I need to feel like I'm doing something, accomplishing something. And I decided I do not want to be divorced. Bottom line is that we did not pay attention to what was going on in statistics. We paid no attention to certain facts. Studies were being done all over. In Israel, in Japan, in Europe, right here in the United States. And we knew certain things. What did we know? We knew for a fact that when you were 6 feet apart, you could not get the disease. Why? We had actual studies. Literally millions of dollars spent on the study. You could see it in slow motion. And as a result, a lot of states made decisions that allowed their economies to get back. We did not. Think about some of the decisions we made. They baffle me. We would have essential business open, and then we decided who was essential. It was okay to open a liquor store because that was essential. You could be 6 feet away. But we couldn't have a health studio. No, even though we could be 26 feet away. Think about this. You could open Home Depot, right? Home Depot was fine. But we have to rope off the flowers in the plant. How are flowers and plants going to kill you? Come on. Do you really think flowers and plants are going to kill you? Is that quality? Is that decision quality? So the bottom line is that did not make sense. Now, we have a disease. We know it's contagious. The most vulnerable part of the population is what? The elderly. So what decision do we make? We decide that when we have these infected people with COVID in the nursing homes, we're going to force them back into the nursing homes, thereby infecting all those people. So what happens? 5,600 people die. So that was already a very high number. But you know, the Auditor General just did a study. And that study said there were 2,400 additional deaths in our nursing home, which raises it to 8,000. So we actually covered up the deaths. I ask you, is that quality? So now we take a look at another decision. We are not allowed to congregate. Did she say that? We couldn't congregate in groups unless you're the governor. Then you can go over. It's okay to go to the Landmark Grill, get your people together, and you can have your meeting because that's okay. We cannot take our boat out. So when her husband calls to get the boat out and the guy says no, what did he say? I'm the husband of the governor. Now, we weren't allowed to go up north. Couldn't go to our second home if you had a second home. I don't have a second home, but they did. They went to their second home. You weren't allowed to. You're not allowed to travel. It was okay for them to travel. They went to Biden's inauguration. They took a private plane to Florida, but it's not okay for us. Is that quality? Now let's take a look at our schools. The schools are probably the most important thing that we have in this entire state. Why? Because our children are our future. They represent our future of future's future, and everything else. And they mean so much to us. Now let's take a look at what happened in the schools. In the state of Michigan, do you realize that only 32% of the children in grades 3 through 8 are proficient in math and English? 29% pass the M-step. And this is what's truly sad. When they get to high school, it was even worse. 10 years ago, Michigan was number 3 in the country in the SAT scores. Actually, we had averaged somewhere between 3 and 7 for about 6 or 7 years. Last year, on the SAT scores, Michigan was 49 out of 50. That is on the internet. This is not a made-up statistics. They'll fact check it to the hilt, and you'll find out we're 49 out of 50 any way you look at it. Is that quality? Now, when we go and take a look at what we need to do, we have to recognize that nobody loves their kids more than the parents. Nobody knows their kids more than the parents. So let's seek some advice from the parents. Let them be involved in decision making. We have a lot of things that we can do with school, but let's start recognizing that we need to start improving, making it better and better. Now let's take a look at the roads. Did she campaign on fixing the roads? How many remember that? Now, are the roads any better? Now think about this. Was there ever a better time to fix the roads than when nobody's on them? There's nobody there. We aren't interrupted. We don't have to worry about stopping. We have no inconvenience. Isn't that the most perfect time on the planet to fix the roads? Did she act as though she was concerned with quality? The reality of life is that we had the perfect opportunity to fix the road in the past. And here's the real comedy. She's asking for more money. She already got more money because she raised the taxes on your gasoline. So when you go to the pump, realize some of that goes to your buddy, Gretchen. So we know for a fact that we already have raised the budget on the roads from $3.7 billion in 2016 to $5.2 billion today. That's over 40%. The rate of inflation is only 17%. But nothing happened. Anytime the government doesn't do anything, anytime they have a problem, their answer is, okay, let's have more money. And I ask you, is that quality? Now, we have a very interesting thing that happened. In fact, I'm still scratching my head, wondering how this is possible. But we sent out $8.6 billion in unemployment to the wrong people. $2.6 billion of that was to a fraudulent group that was set up in the government, a criminal enterprise. Now, that represents roughly $900 to each and every one of you. If you had a family of four, it's $3,600. Gone to the wrong person. Now, if you use the science of statistics, would you have modeled that ahead of time? If you have any idea that you're going to spend, you're going to know how much you're going to spend ahead of time before it goes out. You don't just rip that money out like you don't care. Now, each of you have donated $900 to the government here because of the fact they didn't want to pay attention to statistics. Is that quality? We take a look at the way we have to look at life. We have to say to ourselves, at some time, you have to just sit back and say, maybe we have to rethink the way we're doing things. And that's what we have to do here in Michigan, because we haven't been doing things the right way. We need to actually apply a little bit of science in how we're running things, not just by the seat of our pants. Now, we have to recognize that Michigan has a tremendous tradition. We're probably one of the most spectacular states in the entire country. Remember back in, I'm going to go back over 100 years ago. We've all heard of a guy by the name of Henry Ford, right? Now, he had this very simple idea that instead of moving a person from one spot to the next, what he's going to do is to move the assembly line and have the people stay in one position, becoming expert in one thing. That way, those people could become great at that job, and it became much more efficient. The assembly line concept was simple, but ingenious. In a matter of only a couple of years, the assembly line was used in all of manufacturing, all over the world. But he had a problem. The problem was that that person working that job, day in and day out, the same job, was getting bored. And he was having high attrition. So he asked himself, how do I solve the problem? What he did changed the world. He decided overnight that instead of paying somebody 25 cents an hour, working 9 hours a day, earning $2.25 a day, he was going to suddenly pay them $5 a day. What he did changed the world. Suddenly, we had a middle class that could afford a home, afford a car, and live a great life. No education was needed, just the willingness to work, just what America needs. And we became the mecca of the middle class. We had people flocking from all over. They came from Europe. They came from north, south, east, west, because we had the wealthiest middle class in the world. We changed the world. We can do it again. We can bring quality to state government. It's never happened. I know it sounded nutty. I know the quality guru. Who the heck is the quality guru? But the bottom line is that we can change the world. And think of what bringing quality to government will mean. We bring quality to government. What does that mean? That means we have quality schools. It means we have people that will want to come to this state. We bring quality It means we have quality decisions. We will now have quality roads. We bring quality to government. Think of what happens. We will now have lower taxes. We don't have to spend this $900 per person. We bring quality here. We suddenly have a great life in Michigan where people want to come to Michigan. Imagine quality schools, quality roads, quality life, quality Michigan, and we think this is a great state. And we can be, again, the greatest state in the Union. We can do it, but it takes everybody's help. We have to say, yes, we are going to change. Yes, we're going to do it. And by golly, we can end up with a terrific state, once again, the greatest state in the Union. I love this state. I love America. I love my family, just like each and every one of you. God bless Michigan. God bless America.
Go ahead and stay up there for a second. All right, we're going to take a few questions from online. We have some videos that folks have submitted, as well as some questions online via various social media channels. Go ahead and load the first question if you can.
Hi, Perry. Former Congressman, former Ambassador Pete Hoekstra here. Welcome to the governor's race. Been there, done that. Get ready for a tough race. I've always had a passion for education. I'd be interested in your views as to how you're going to bring quality to the Michigan education K through 12 system, an area that I feel Governor Whitmer has failed miserably in. And if you take a look at the background, yes, I am calling from the free state of Florida, and I look forward to the day when Michigan again will be a free state, and we will have moved out from the heavy hand of government. Good luck. Thank you.
I'm so happy you asked that question. The reality is that schools are probably the most important thing that we have to talk about, because they're the future of our. Oh, I get to see you. You're here. Is he live? Oh, okay. The reality of the matter is that we have to talk about our future here. We know we already are about near the bottom. I think we rank, depends on the stat, we're 13th from the bottom in the country in some areas. We're 11th from the bottom in others, and 14th from the bottom in others. So we have plenty of ways to go. So why don't we set up a program whereby we monitor the overall improvement? It shouldn't be hard to improve from here. And we chart the improvement every month. We should incentivize teachers to try to perform, because I think that a teacher that performs better should get paid more. Is it unreasonable to reward people based on how well they do their job? I mean, is that an off-the-wall concept? So I think the whole idea of having some kind of program where we can incentivize the teachers to perform, incentivize the principals to perform, the superintendents to perform, is going to give us somewhat of an edge. I think we have certain things to factor into the whole situation. We have a huge job shortage right now in a number of areas. One of the areas that we have a job shortage is trades. Why shouldn't we have shop classes in all the high schools? Does that make any sense not to have shop classes? Shouldn't we also do a lot to glorify our top teachers? What I always did, for example, my son started a mortgage company. My son is a senior in high school. He started it a year ago. Okay, he had to fight with me to start this mortgage company, but he did. And in the mortgage company, everybody gets paid according to what they do. In fact, it seems like a very logical assumption that if you work harder, you ought to get paid more. if you produce more, you ought to get paid more. Why don't we do that for teaching as well? We have also schools that are schools of choice, where they have charter schools, where people have a right to go to charter schools. I say we remove all barriers to go to charter schools. Let's recognize that quality starts with the education program. Let's bring quality to education and make that one of the stalwart concepts that we have in this state. Because we want people flocking to the state because we have the best schools. Do you understand how great it would be for us to be able to say we have the best state in the union because we have the best schools, we have the best environment for business? That's how I handle that one.
Let's go to the next question.
By the way, I will have a policy conference on that. I think we're planning a town hall meeting on that, aren't we?
Yes, we are in a couple of weeks, yes.
Yep.
Hi. So my question as a concerned parent in Michigan is, how will you ensure that trust is put back in the public schools and administrators are transparent with parents as to what they are teaching our children?
Oh, again, the schools, I agree 100%. Don't you think, I'm going to ask you very frankly, let's pretend we're not even running a political race here. Who cares about their kids more than the parents? Is there anyone that cares about children more than the parents? Does anyone know the children more than the parents? So why don't we just say, why aren't the parents involved? It seems ridiculous. The whole idea that we're not going to involve the parents is almost ludicrous. It's almost like a comedy routine that we would think that we're not going to let the parents at least participate in what should be taught and how they should be taught. You have situations also where some children learn better auditorially, other people learn better, other children learn better visually. The parents are going to know this. They've spent all this time with their children. Why don't we let the parents help form the educational program? If anything, we should beg for their help because they're going to tell us what they need. Come on. Let's get with the program.
Hi, Perry. This is Rocky Rachkovsky, chairman of the Oakland County Republican Party. Thank you for being a member of the Oakland County Republicans. Since your Super Bowl ad, there's been some interest to get to know a little bit more about your candidacy. So we were wondering if you'd be willing to do one of your quality events here in conjunction with an Oakland County GOP event. Let us know. Thank you.
That's a break. I live right there. I don't even have to travel. Okay. Anything else? Is that it?
Yeah, next one more question. Here you go.
Hi, Perry. Your company has helped me grow and prosper within the automotive industry, from learning statistical techniques as a quality technician to implementing and maintaining certified quality systems as at a director level. And my question to you today is, with your worldwide experience with process improvements, quality system management, how would you be able to convey to our representatives and senators that sound decisions need to be made based on facts and statistics to help the people of Michigan? Good luck. Thank you.
I had a chance to meet with all of the legislatures and all different people, and today I've spent the whole day in Lansing. It is a different world, in fairness. But they are very interested in quality, and I think we're going to move them. I think this quality guru is going to move this state to be the best quality state in the entire country. It's going to happen.
Good afternoon, Perry. My name is Chris Berger, and I'm the operations manager for Northern Wings, a small aerospace and defense contractor based in the Upper Peninsula. For over 20 years, the foundation of our company culture has been our quality program. It's a cornerstone of our continued growth and success, and we adamantly believe that quality does equal profit. So it's very exciting to us that a candidate is running on a platform of integrating quality to Michigan politics and decision making. That all being stated, concern that is rapidly affecting our state's economic future is the degrading quality of statewide education and the ever-widening skilled trades gap that Michigan businesses are contending with. Could you please explain how you intend to address this growing issue with our elected officials in Lansing?
Just talked about that very issue. You know what's kind of interesting? We spend all this time talking about getting our kids ready for college. They go to college and they major in something that puts them in a position where they may get a job that pays $30,000 to $60,000 a year. Now, how often does that happen? A lot, right? What about a trade? You could be a tradesman and make $100,000 a year. You could be a tradesman and make $130,000 a year. We need to encourage tradesmen. Frankly, I think tradesmen we should have that as a mandatory requirement of every high school in this entire state. I think having the ability to learn that trade in high school, wouldn't that be great? Wouldn't that be fantastic? I have a son, Preston. He wants to be a carpenter. You're crying. You're going to make me cry. You know, every time I get up there to give a speech, who gets nervous? I don't. It's my wife. The reality is, I wouldn't be anywhere without my wife. The greatest thing in this world is to have a loving family, and nothing becomes more important than the family itself. And that's just the way I am. I admit that I'm a conservative. There's no getting around it. I am a conservative. I'm a guy that believes in the great value of the human being. I believe in the Second Amendment. I'm pro-Trump. I'm a guy that believes in everything that this country stands for. I'm, in every possible way, a guy that is so thankful to have such a wonderful family and such a wonderful state and a wonderful country. So all I can say is this is a guy that loves America. And I'm pro-life too. So condemn me, but whatever it is, I have to tell you how I stand. I do believe, though, that we are going to be the greatest state in the Union. I do believe that there is a limited possibility, and the way it happens is through you. I am only a conduit. All I can do is give tools. All I can try to do is get people to work together, because you are the answer to our future. Our children are the answer to our future, and our schools are the answer to our future.
All right, that's it, everybody. Thank you, everyone, for coming. Perry's going to be walking out now. Shake a few hands right here on the way through, and he'll answer a couple of press questions on the way out on this side. Thanks, everybody.